going to read you a story today, and it's about Johnny Appleseed. It's called Johnny Appleseed. Now, just a little bit of background on who Johnny Appleseed is. Johnny Appleseed was actually a real man. His name wasn't really Johnny Appleseed. His name was John Chapman, and he's a real person. Now, some of the stories about John Chapman or Johnny Appleseed are probably stretching the truth a little bit. But actually, some of the things are very true. Okay, so there are some stories about John Chapman or Johnny Appleseed that we can say, oh, yes, that really did happen. Like, for example, he definitely planted apple trees. But there are some things that aren't so true, like that one night he spent the night cuddled up with a bear. That might not be a true story, although I think he did get along with nature and the creatures in the woods. Okay, so this is called Johnny Appleseed. And the reason why we're going to be studying about apples and learning about Johnny Appleseed is because Johnny Appleseed's birthday is in September, and because September is a fall month, and apples are usually ripe in the fall. So it's a really great opportunity to learn about apples, okay? And about Johnny Appleseed. Johnny Appleseed. This is a story about Johnny Appleseed. With a name like that, you would think he was make-believe. But Johnny Appleseed was a real person who lived more than 200 years ago. It was a sunny fall day in Massachusetts when a boy named Johnny Chapman was born. The baby had cheeks as red and round as apples. Now, he really was born in Massachusetts, but maybe his cheeks weren't as red and round as apples. I don't know. Johnny's big sister, Elizabeth, was happy to have a little brother. The children played together with whatever they could find. And the sun shone and the rain fell, and little Johnny played, and all was well. Johnny's family got bigger. Johnny and his sister were joined by 10 younger stepbrothers and stepsisters. What a busy, noisy house. So all of a sudden, he didn't just have one sister, he had 10 others besides her. And it went from being kind of quiet to getting really loud. Johnny would go outdoors when he needed quiet time. Sometimes he'd walk along the river. The swashy mud felt good under his feet. He likes nature. Other times, he would sit under a tree and read. And he enjoyed reading. Johnny would watch the animals in the wild, the foxes playing in the meadows, the deer dashing through the woods, and the birds soaring high in the wide blue sky. If he found an injured animal, Johnny would take care of it until the creature was well. So he enjoys animals, he enjoys nature, and he enjoys apple trees. We're about to find out. Johnny liked being outside. When he got older, he went to work in the apple orchards, just like his great-great-great-grandfather long before him. And the sun shone and the rain fell, and Johnny grew up and all was well. Johnny learned everything about growing apples. He was happy planting seeds, taking care of the trees, and munching on the delicious fruit. So he really enjoyed his job working out in the apple orchard. Lots of people were moving out west back then. When Johnny was all grown up, he decided to go west too. He didn't bring much with him. For a hat, he used a pot. And a burlap sack did fine for a shirt. And shoes, well, Why wear shoes when you have two perfectly good feet? So he doesn't have much with him. He's actually using the pot that he uses to cook things in as a hat. Johnny traveled the countryside. The sun kept him warm by day. The stars made a roof over his head at night, so he would just sleep out under the stars. The rain washed him clean, and the animals kept him company. Sometimes Johnny would stop and plant apple seeds. As soon as seedlings grew, he'd sell the small plants to families moving west. When they got to where they were going, the families planted Johnny's seedlings and grew trees of their own. So that's interesting. He would start planting the apple tree. Now the apple tree would be like a little baby apple tree. Okay? They call that like a seedling. And then he would take that little baby apple tree and then sell it to people and say, here, wherever you're going, take this with you. And then once you get there, plant it. And you'll have an apple tree that will grow apples for you. Johnny was friends with everyone. Wherever he went, he'd bring seedlings, pitch in with chores, and share stories of his adventures. The seasons passed. Every fall, Johnny gathered seeds from ripe apples. Every spring, he planted the seeds and passed the seedlings to settlers. He planted so many apple seeds that before long, people started calling him Johnny Appleseed. And the sun shone and the rain fell and trees filled the land and all was well. So he planted so many apple trees that people just started calling him, instead of Johnny Chapman, they called him Johnny Appleseed. Year after year, Johnny tended his orchards, visited friends and family, and slept under the stars. Because of him, people always had fresh fruit to eat. Because of him, the land grew more beautiful. Johnny Appleseed left behind thousands and thousands of apple trees across America. Just think, the next time you eat an apple, it may be from an orchard that was first planted by Johnny Appleseed. And the sun shone and the rain fell and Johnny's story lives on and all is well. Okay, so usually after I read a story, I like to talk about, is it real or make-believe? Okay, so most of this story is real because Johnny Appleseed was a real person. I mean, his real name was John Chapman. A few of the things in the story may not be exactly the way they were, but he really did plant a lot of apple trees. He really did sell apple trees to settlers as he was moving along with them. And he really did live outside under the stars. So some of the things about this are actually true. The character in the story is Johnny Appleseed. And the setting is like where the story is happening. And it's mostly happening outside in the United States of America. Okay? Bye, everyone.